So my brain is now working. So back to our previous conversation, and hopefully this will give you some ideas. I am not an electronics expert. I'm a Windows computer expert. Wow, I wouldn't even call it that. But anyways, to answer your questions above, you had stated that you had fried two solid-state hard drives relatively quickly, and so let's take a look at that. So that there is the SATA pin out. As you can see, it uses three grounds, with A and B being the data transmission lines. I'm not sure how to test that. I'm sure you could probably do an ohms meter. Hopefully, someone who's got a little bit more experience with testing that stuff can tell you exactly how to test those. I do know that you do need to look at the motherboards to see if the lines are broken away from the motherboard, and you're probably going to need a magnifying glass for that. If you have fried out two SSDs, most likely the problem is coming from the power supply. Now, you said you had used a modular power supply. See the example above. Personally, myself, I hate modular power supplies because although they look cool and they charge you a whole lot of money for them, they do the same thing as an Octopus does. And then you don't have to look for a cord later on when you change your graphics card. Anyways, the idea behind the graphics card, or behind the modulars, is if any individual port goes bad, it's supposed to disable it. That's the idea behind it. Where on an Octopus, one thing goes bad, it just kills the whole thing. So someone else had told you to get a power supply testing unit. Absolutely, especially the one that's got like the SATA connectors and so on and so forth. You're going to do a longevity test on this. It's not something you just plug it in and look at the results and go, oh, that's the problem. If this is spiking or surging down through the rail line to the SATA connector, it's not going to show up right away. It's going to be one of those things that you're going to have to watch and monitor for a while. And then, even then, and this is where the electronics experts will come in and tell you, you might have to somehow trigger a load on that line to see if it throws a spike or a fault. My recommendation is if you can afford it, get another power supply. And like I think you said in one of your messages to me last night that you can get them online, a dime a dozen. Yeah, they're kind of reasonable. But yeah, I would say get a modular if you like a modular, but get an Octopus too. I have several here that I use for testing purposes on main boards and stuff like that. Um, and put those in. If the problem still exists after you have changed out the motherboard or changed out the power supply, then the issue exists in your motherboard. That means that the regulating circuitry is not working properly. And I mean, unless you know someone who can do that type of work, change out the motherboard. Hopefully that'll give you some guidance. Far from an expert in this particular area. Usually when a component goes bad, I do a component change out. That's how break fix works. But yeah, I mean, if you want to go in down through that rabbit hole, by all means. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Like I said, I would start with changing out the power supply, get some old hard drives, maybe not SSDs, although SSDs are a little more sensitive to surges than mechanical drives. But you can test it out that way. If it fries another drive after changing out the power supply, then the issue is in the motherboard. I'm almost positive of that. If not, then the issue was probably in the power supply unit. So, anyways, good luck. I will do the best I can to answer questions, but a lot of this is going to go above my head. That's why I say, ask the experts who may be on here. Anyways, you have a great day.